Okay.
That's the good laugh we needed this morning.
Yes.
This is what we did. Okay. Bam.
Okay. Is this mine or is this mine? Which one should I take?
I think you can use either or. That's what I always thought.
What do you want me on, Felicia? 4?
Wait,
4.
where's my
Okay.
mic?
Just right to your right.
Oh. I saw it.
You really act like he can see it. Okay. Sometimes he can. You know. Come on now. Give him a break. He's right there to your right.
Yes, it is okay to make fun of my blindness. I make fun of it all the time. So that's why
Too loud?
my new brand is actually going to be AAA. Accessible, adaptable, and AI.
There we go.
There's
I'll tell you guys about that later, but I actually might have an opportunity to really doing that.
Sweat.
You know, they need. You know, I'm kind of
good.
get that open AI.
You know we good on my side. So when you're talking to Mike Camila, you always want to be.
Test.
We want to be a fist away so we can bring it closer to you, so we get the best sound possible. And just tell us a little brief what you did this morning.
This morning, I get up and I am on an entrepreneur call at 5 a.m. So I do that first. Even before that, get up.
Sounds good.
I pray.
She said your sound.
Okay.
Yeah. Brother Darren.
I had some grape juice today and a smoothie.
What?
And water.
And water.
That's all I have on that liquid fasting until I get that chicken sandwich.
Okay. All right.
I am so hungry. I'm about to eat my own leg. It's the Anything Can Happen show.
Jump.
Yeah.
I'm still mad.
Okay.
He gets to say one phrase every time. On point.
Yeah.
One more time. Hello, hello, hello.
You got to say your catchphrase.
Oh, it's the Anything Can Happen show.
Chew.
Down just a little bit. All right, you got it.
Hello, hello. Is that better? Is
Yeah.
that better? Okay. Okay.
We going at 22?
Hello. Hey.
That's our song. I've heard that song in a while.
Hello.
Oh,
22.
one of the greatest.
22. All right, let's get
22. Okay. Oh my God. It has been a minute.
So you going live? Okay, that's the StreamYard live, right?
Yeah, that's StreamYard Live, and then we're going to shut up Instagram. All right, everybody muting. We're going
Sorry.
3, 2, 1. You're listening to KGPC 96.9 FM Oakland and streaming online at www.kgpc969.org. This is the Anything Can Happen show with Kenya Asa, your man Cat Fitness, and our guest host today, Darren from Financial State of Minds. Man, we're going to get into it today, y'all.
Well, we're about to get into it, but I need Darren to help me figure. I forgot how to go live because I haven't been here.
You forgot how to go live?
I did. What do I do? What do I hit?
Well,
I don't know. What do I do?
We're
Cat?
going
I
to
forgot.
be plugging into the source today. So
that
that
doesn't help
that live might have to you swipe right. Right. The other way.
It's live.
The other right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
and it should say live.
Thank
right there.
you.
See, look at
Thank
that.
you.
Just a little
Okay,
bit of help
because
today.
it's been so long.
Y'all been worked
My
up this
God.
morning in the studio. Y'all was fired up before this episode.
I had that green
Man,
juice, man.
That green juice got
Well,
you wired?
you
I
had the
didn't.
green
I didn't have
juice.
no coffee, and that's big for me.
Yeah, no coffee, no caffeine today.
No caffeine.
I
I
had
wonder what our
coffee.
life coach thinks about that in the building.
No
Because-
coffee, no caffeine.
No
I thought
caffeine.
she was a transformation coach.
Yeah, I mean, well, caffeine will definitely transform you.
Yeah.
Yeah, from
Or
being
lack
a total
thereof.
a-hole to
Or
being
lack
somebody you want to talk
thereof.
to.
So
We've got feedback.
we got
Yeah.
feedback.
Something's going on. Am I the only one?
Yeah, I just heard my headphones kind of like get a little buzzy fuzzy.
Yeah,
Little
they're
buzzy
completely buzzed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
I don't hear it on my side. So it might be something on your guys' side over there.
Hey, my cousin is on the live.
Y'all still getting the feedback?
Mine
Okay.
just ended.
Okay.
Hey, New York
Mine
City.
just
I
ended.
hear mine. I have no feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
good now.
So Miss Camille,
Yes.
man, like every day I see you on my IG feed and it's nothing but positivity and love and encouragement and
Yeah.
just uplifting the frequency of the community,
Yeah.
right? So I told you the story how I got connected with you, right?
Yes.
it was
Small
divinely led. One of our other actually producers at the studio sent me one of your videos.
Wow. You just never know who's watching.
Yeah.
Never
Or is
do.
listening. You
Never
never
do.
know.
That's
She
so
sent me,
true.
she DM'd me one of your videos, and like I told you, initially I get so many DMs and everybody sending me all
So
kinds
many
of stuff.
DMs. Excuse me?
Listen, people send
Easy.
me
Pause. Not
Right.
Come on,
Hey,
down
hey,
to the DM.
it's business related most of the time.
Oh, now
He
it's
said most of the time.
You know, some
Okay.
people send me
Got it.
just random videos sometimes,
Right,
right?
I'm sure they do.
And it's funny because what caught my eye was when I seen your video, I was looking, I was like, dang, that looked like my cousin, right? And until I clicked on it and gave it like 30 seconds, and I was like, oh, but the information that you gave instantly drew me in.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm totally feeling her vibe.
Can we get a little bit of an introduction about who our guest is today
Yeah,
for
go ahead.
those that don't have a clue?
Yeah, go ahead and let us know who you are and what you do.
My name is Kamilah Shuaibe. I am a transformational life coach where my main focus is around spiritual empowerment. And I use journaling as a means of documenting and preserving our human experiences for the spiritual transformation. I strongly believe that everybody's story is unique and should be shared, and that their life experiences have experiences and systems that could help someone else's life. And the more we tap into whatever our struggle was or is at the moment, the things that we go through is so the answer can come through us. So that's what I do. And I hold spaces for indigenous people to love on themselves greatly. I hold spaces to pour into the beauty of our existence. I hold spaces for us to feel joy and success and be okay with being vulnerable and finding communities that honor our humanity and that we don't have to hide how beautiful we are, because it's our beauty that just makes the world go round. And,
That's true.
I
So
live
what do you
for
mean?
it.
Let me ask you, what do you mean by, in what circumstances are you talking about hiding? Because of course I know what I'm thinking, but what when you say that, what do you mean?
When I say hiding, it's like sometimes we are afraid of the success and the magnification of our gifts because we feel like that will make someone else have to shrink, or that because their insecurities shine so brightly, we're like, well, I don't want them to think they don't have the potential to reach a particular level of living or greatness, so I shrink myself.
Right.
And so a lot of times we deny ourselves the beautiful experience of our existence because we're overthinking someone else's healing journey. And many a times we need to let people's healing journey be what it is, but that should not stop or stall us from being able to grow and get better and be better. That our greatness should give someone permission to be better, as opposed to it being something that forces them to feel like they have to stay small.
So it sounds so. In some situations, it sounds like you're saying it's us that will think about other people's needs and
prioritize
what
somebody
makes,
over ourselves.
and what makes them comfortable before we think about what is going to make us happy and fulfilled in our lives. And we don't want to, quote unquote, hurt other people, but in reality, if we live our best life,
It's
we
gonna
can
raise the frequency of
inspire
those around us.
That's right. We'll inspire somebody else to do the
100%.
same.
Yeah, you gotta
But then
live
you
your
have-
authentic truth.
That's right. But then you have those people who will see you, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about this directly to blindish black girl here, my cousin. There are those people who will see you thriving and attaining things that you would have never thought possible in your life, who will not have your best interest at heart, even though they don't think that. They think that what they're doing is loving you and being there for you and stuff like that. And I think that all of us can probably relate to a situation like that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then the question is, how do we move forward? How do we walk in this life and try to be our authentic selves and prioritize our own selves above, It doesn't make you a bad person.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. I think we have to be clear about defining the words and the narratives that we have adopted over time.
Yeah, the program.
Because a lot of times we'll think that this authenticity requires us to be rude, requires us to not to have a level of empathy with the people that we deal with.
Right.
And there's a responsibility with your greatness. Like when you're like stepping into your greatness, into a position of leadership, there's a responsibility, because there's so many people who have a position of leadership or position of influence, and they use it to oppress others because they want to stay at that station.
Yeah.
And so they're like, no one else can join me here. So I have to utilize my level of influence, my level of understanding in order to keep other people beneath me. But that shows up, that is the wide spectrum of insecurities. Like your level of insecurity means that if someone comes up here with me or gets to a space of their greatness, then that means it's not going to be enough for me to be able to live in my fullness.
So
right?
that's living in a world of lack of abundance. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
The lack
That's what it is. It's like
The
to
lack
live in this
mindset.
lack mindset
Yeah.
requires us to oppress others, because it's like there's not enough room where it is. And that brings us to what I had said to you about tapping into the source. Like God is infinite, is abundant. And it's not that like God doesn't run out of what we need or what we have access to. And just to give you a heads up, like early on, like I have no discomfort with talking about God. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about, the vehicle in which you choose to worship. However you choose to do that, that's fine. God is, period.
Right.
Wherever it is that you find God, God is, period, and it will not change. But there's others who seek to project this ideal of God as this opportunity to utilize God's existence as a means of oppression. And that's historically, indigenous people have been, they've used God as a way to keep us under control, as opposed to understanding that God resides within us. And because God resides within us, your ability, your possibility is infinite. Right? So when I don't love myself, what am I not doing? I'm not loving the God that created me, because God is here. Like this is the vessel that holds a piece of it. In the same way, when we honor our parents or we honor our children or, our auntie, our ancestors, like their blood resides within us. But those are the physical manifestations of the source that gave me the resource, which is my mom, which is my dad, which is my sisters, right? And so, and in the same way, when I see you, I see myself. And so I have to honor the fact that I know that you're a vessel that houses, the source of God within you. So I have to be respectful of that. However you choose to manifest and move within this world, I have to honor that part of it. Do I have to agree with every part of it? No, I don't. No. But I have to honor and show you a level of respect, because you're here for a reason. I don't. When we leave each other's environment, I don't know what it is that you're going to take with you to impact someone else's life. In the same way that when he received this video of myself, the experience that I had with his cousin prior to knowing that we even knew each other, she carried a part of my energetic experience. Because why? I honored the fact that she is a vessel that carries the spirit of God within her. And that's how I treat every human being, right? It is up to us to decide, what do we put in the forefront and what do we put behind? So those that want to live a life of negativity, you're choosing to not use the light that you were born with. You chose to be influenced by this chaotic environment that turned down, just like we look at this soundboard, to turn down the volume of the light that God gave you and turn up the volume of this chaotic environment.
So what happens when you come across that kind of energy? When you come across an energy that feels like it's not quite vibrating on the frequency that you want, do you continue to engage with that, or do you find a way, like an exit plan, like I just can't be around this type of energy?
Ultimately, it's like, what's the goal? And is it ego driven? Like to be proved to, like I need to prove to this person that I'm right. Like I have to show them that, that what I bring to you is truth.
Or that I'm good.
Or that I'm good.
That I'm good. That good girl, archetype is a hot mess for a lot of women in particular. And so, and it's a hard, long lesson to learn that good for who? Good to whom?
But like, what I'm saying is like toxic environments, right? People that are no longer serving you on your journey. Like,
say that term again, like serving you.
serving you.
Right. Like,
Uh-huh.
so we use that term like, does this serve me? And it's like, I don't think that anyone has to serve me. I choose to let you experience me or not.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
You
Right.
like, I have the option for us to exchange, to have a reciprocal relationship and exchange and communication. I could choose that, or I could choose not to.
Yeah.
If I'm not being fed in our
Right.
communication, like you guys are feeding me right now,
Yeah.
like, and I'm choosing to be here to be fed. If it was not feeding the part of me that's allowing me to grow, if it's not watering the very essence of my existence, then it's kind of like, okay, what exactly
are we really doing?
What are we really doing?
Well, and I think that I think part of that too is that, just like what we were saying about not having somebody else's best interest at heart, or feeling their negativity or whatever, or the competition that we find a lot of times, is that we can all eat. We can all eat. The table is big enough for all of us.
Yes.
And so then we have to ask ourselves, if we're not in that position that we want to be in, why aren't we looking in the mirror? Why aren't we holding the mirror up to ourselves, instead of spending so much time looking at somebody else and trying to figure out, like, criticize what they're doing or poke holes in what they're doing or how they got there?
Because it's easier.
It is easier.
It's easier to criticize somebody else other than yourself. And to top that, I would actually argue it's within culture too. It's within culture to go, it's not my fault position because of A, B, C, or D. And because that is our, especially minority culture as a whole in America, that's a shared thing. That's kind of the thing to do. It's not our fault, or it's not our reason. It's somebody else's reason.
Well, and sometimes there's some accuracy in some of that, of course, in some of that, and that's okay to acknowledge that we're not all here on the same playing field. That's okay to acknowledge that. But to dwell in it, I see those times where you're like, God, why is this so hard? There's nothing wrong with feeling that feeling. There is something wrong, in my opinion, where you don't surround yourself with the people that can support you, and you can support yourself to a certain extent, but we thrive. We thrive in a group of our like-minded people, or not. Even if it's not a like mind, then it's a positive mind. Like, somebody can then push you in the direction that you want to go. If you're being negative, they can lift you up to be positive, and vice versa.
Right. And that is, I believe that nature is a master teacher. Like, nature is just a master teacher. And when we look at how gardens grow, we look at the trees, we look at just nature itself, that there is a part of, if the soil is bad, it won't grow. It's just not going to happen. Right. I'm a newly, I don't say like plant parent, but yes, since that's the language.
Yes, that is.
I'm newly have these plants and have been nurturing the plants. And I have a plant that I'm like, I know I have to repot it. Right. And it makes me nervous because it's a huge responsibility to remove it from what it's been used to being in and put it in a new environment carefully, so that I don't damage the roots that were established as a result of the first environment that it was familiar with. And don't we go through that same experience?
Oh my God.
Like, when we come out of one environment and into a new environment, we have to remove ourselves gently without damaging what it did give us. But it no longer is feeding us anymore, that we have to expand the environment. We need a larger environment so that we can ground ourselves that much more in order to go up. We got to go in deep in order to go up higher, right? And so when my friend was telling me about how to repot, it said that you have to gently remove the old dirt. Like, you can't just take it out and then throw it in there. Like, you still have to gently remove.
You really do, because I do that in real life quite a bit with my plants.
So when we release certain relationships, it's not a matter of I'm never talking to you anymore, or we're not gonna. It's like you have to probably gently remove yourself from it. No hard feelings. It's just I've outgrown this environment now, and I'm seeking to continue to grow. And when I speak of this growth, everyone talks about purpose. What's my purpose? Ultimately, your purpose is to grow. Like whatever area, just you name it. You need to be constantly growing every day. Growth needs to happen in whatever area of your life that you are seeking to grow. The purpose part of it makes it fun because the purpose is something you're passionate about, right? So now it's like, if I am passionate about dance, or I'm passionate about art or anything like that, then I'm seeking to grow in that vehicle.
Yeah, right. But what happens when, let's talk about the majority of people that are distracted with their 9-to-5 jobs and other things that are going on in their lives that they feel that are not allowing them to grow. How do you explain to somebody that, since you're in this particular situation, whether it's work or a relationship, that you can still grow? Because even when I made my transition almost 8 years ago now to loving myself more, doing what I felt was my purpose, I just let it go. You know what I'm saying? But not everybody can do that.
They cannot.
That's what I'm saying. Cannot, for the everyday person,
I'll say most people can.
Yeah. Most people in my situation, when I transitioned to being a full-time entrepreneur and everything, they were looking at me like, well, you have a 6-figure job, you have benefits, you have kids, you have responsibilities, you have all these things. I'm just not secure enough to make that leap of faith.
Sure. Listen, I did that 6 years ago. My retirement anniversary is coming up on the 28th of this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was torture. Like, it was so scary. It was so scary. But also my health was at risk because the stress was too much. And so you really have to balance. And I think a lot of people historically in this country will definitely put their health second to making that paycheck, especially if you have a family to support, other people to support.
I have a good friend that probably like a year or two ago, he had a back injury, right? So he got some time off because he really hurt his back at work. And he could barely stand up at a certain point because he had a slipped disc in his back, right? And he got himself back together and everything. And he started working out and doing these things, self-care and making sure that he was good. But as soon as he got right back into the like work world, corporate America, like all those behaviors just went out the window. He's no longer doing the things that he needs to on a daily basis to maintain his health. And I even brought that to his attention. It's like, hey, man, like, you got to that point, you're feeling better. Why stop?
Because you prioritize money, making money. Let's just be real. And I don't blame people for that. Believe me, I got real broke after I left my job. Okay. So let's just be real. But that is, cash is king in the United States of America. It is. Here in the Bay Area,
especially in the Bay Area.
The Bay Area, honey, you like want to live in an apartment, that thing will be the size of a postage stamp and cost $3,000 a month. Okay.
Yes.
So that's just real. And that's a real issue.
Yeah. But I want to give our viewers that are listening and that are on our live right now, like some tools, because if we're talking about plugging into source, abundance, and in your current situation you can't see none of that, what would be the first step that you would recommend, Kamilah, to kind of making that transition?
Really, you have to check in with yourself, your why. You gotta know why, because there, so many layers to this choice around, because I think jobs are great. Let me first say that. Not everybody cut out for the entrepreneur life.
That's correct.
They're just not.
Right.
But the entrepreneurs that I have met who are successful, it is directly connected to a divine assignment. It don't have nothing to do with money. It has zero to do. Most entrepreneurs, it's not about money, because you could get money, right? But if there is a business it's usually because I had a significant emotional event. I had a significant experience to where it's like, I need to be freed up to to really live in my ministry of self-love, to really live in my ministry of financial freedom, to really live in my ministry of, protecting families or fighting against domestic abuse. So as a result of that, it's like, I can't share my time with a 9-to-5 job and doing this, right? So
conflict of interest.
It's a conflict of interest. Yeah. Whereas somebody who's just a hustler and I just need the money, it's just as fast as you get it, you won't keep it because it's not connected. The spirit of why you're getting this money is not fully connected to something that will continue to feed you. It is connected to something to where it's just like it's not, I'm trying to find the right word, but it's not immortal, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when we think about our ancestors who wrote books or who, did the free lunch programs and things like that, it's like they needed the funding in order to ensure that this could take place. Right. But it did not, when their physical body died, it did not leave with them. The spirit of why they did that thing carried on. We put up posts of, different videos of Malcolm and different videos of Martin, of all of those that were activists at some point in time, and the energy behind what it is that they wanted for us to understand is still feeding us, right? Yeah. And they may not have experienced the financial freedom or respect that they should have received at that time. But I do believe that there is such a wealth in what it is that we create that we have to attach the value. Like we live in a generation where we get to collect the check for all of the work that they did prior to.
That's correct.
That's how, we don't have no issue with saying my value is this. Right. You gonna pay me that. We don't have no issue with that. Right. But before that, my grandmother didn't have the option to be able, she had to take what it is that she cooked. She loved cooking, so she cooked in the hospitals with people who could not cook for themselves when she had opportunities to create these moments. But then as a result of that, her need to serve a community, it wasn't attached to the money. She just happened to find joy in the job that she chose that was in alignment with what she was passionate about. Right. And now my mom has the freedom to be able to create more environments and opportunities to feed people the way she chooses to do it, in the environments she chooses to make that happen. So it gets passed down each and every time, but we have been blessed by the foundation that they've laid down for us to even have a space like this where we can freely share our thoughts and opinions, when at some point they had to meet in secret in a basement to talk about what's my plan for the future? Yeah. What's my plan for family and finances? I really love my black skin. Like, they had to be in secret around that. Whereas now we get to benefit from being able to speak outwardly and out loud to saying, look, my priority is indigenous people. And what? Yeah. Right? And so for us to not honor what that is by placing value, they set it up. They wrote the check. This is the season for us to cash it. Mm-hmm. And that's how we have to live. Mm-hmm.
That's how you feeling.
That's how I'm feeling. Absolutely. That's how I'm feeling.
And I think
knocking the table.
What's interesting, we do still have, there are a lot of people out there, I don't know, of all ages. I kind of was thinking I was going to pinpoint a certain demographic, but I don't really think that's true, that still has a tough time putting value on their own skills and talents. And so either as entrepreneurs or as people in the workplace.
We don't encourage it as a society. That's just the truth. We don't.
So what do you mean? Say what you mean by that, Darren.
So we, as a society, and when I mean society, I mean everything, race, culture, class, at least in the United States of America, we value certain things. Yeah. And that's just what it is. And I can name an example. We, as African Americans, historically value entertainment and performance arts and creativity over other industries. We, as a society as a whole, value the person who looks skinnier and lighter shade more than different colors historically. That's
a form of programming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is a form of programming. It's still happening. The great thing is that with time and technology, and values changing. It is changing, and it's changing faster than it's ever have been, which I'm so happy that I get to see. But it's still there. Like, the thing about me is I'm dual. I'm African American, and I identify as a blind person, as a disabled person. We as African Americans know that society tends to pigeonhole us into certain things, like entertainers and basically creatives. That's what they tend to. The society at large tends to pigeonhole us like that.
We are talented like that.
Yeah.
Listen,
but we're,
for real.
But what I feel, and I can prove, is that we're also talented at being financial advisors, businessmen and women.
Absolutely.
We're also talented at
We
doctors,
can do all the things.
lawyers,
Right.
everything. But because we're pigeonholed to be one big thing, which is generally entertainment, and we have been told that society for hundreds of years.
That's what we see the most of.
We've
That
been
cultural
like,
programming,
and that's what we
beast.
So we still send our youth that lane when we can easily knock it out of the park, hit home runs in anything we choose to do. And we have examples in every single thing. Jay-Z did not become a billionaire because he solely rapped. That got him only like a quarter there. He became a billionaire because he was one of the best businessmen I've ever seen. So a lot of the thing too is this encouragement, and I think the biggest thing we've missed so far is the power of choice, which is what Kamilah, you've been basically saying. Yes. But what I try to awaken with people, I think we all here do it as coaches.
I'm trying to just awaken people.
What we do it as coaches,
that's our work.
As coaches, is awaken the power of choice. And I think that as African Americans, we continue to not understand the power of choice that we now have based off what our ancestors did. Like, that's the greatest gift. That's the greatest gift our ancestors did. They were doing it all the way up until about 60 years ago. They didn't have true freedom of choice. We now have true freedom of choice, but we're still not choosing everything. We choose a certain box of things.
Yeah, I want to challenge that just a little bit. Because, because I do agree. I think that the media puts a magnifying glass on one aspect of who we are. But even us as entertainers, like, America would not be cool without Black folks.
Absolutely.
Let's be 100%
Absolutely.
clear.
The world wouldn't be cool.
Well, first of all, it wouldn't be here.
The
world wouldn't be cool.
The world would not be cool. Like, the coolest thing you have ever experienced was a melanated person. Like, that, you ain't gonna find nothing cooler,
I feel like this is about to get real deep. We gotta take a
little break. Music break.
Speaking of entertainment, music break.
We're gonna get right back to that conversation. Awesome. Okay. You're listening to KGBC 96.9 FM Oakland and streaming online at www.kgpc969.org. This is the Anything Can Happen show, and we'll be right back.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Can they still hear me through the mic?
Nope, just turn it off.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, I'm gonna try now, but I'll come back.
Now mine is still on. I do live. Still live.
She's still live.
Still live.
Oh, I feel great. What should I tag this on? The Pat Fitness page?
You can put ACH. At ACH. Gotcha. Anything can happen.
This is.
I was thinking the same thing.
Okay, you just sent me this one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No wonder. Yeah.
Oh.
No no wonder. I'm like, oh, these lyrics are crazy. Big L. Okay. One of the best lyrics of all
We only do what we do best, and that's triple than you brittle men. Since you wanna play rough and say hello to my little friend, it's time to make power moves and get the chat up and ride a real nice things that makes life better. No food is sex, moves must be clever. I'm down for whatever.
It's a dance right now. It's obviously a dance.
It's time to make power moves and get the chat up and ride a real nice things that makes life better. No food is sex, moves must be clever. I'm down for whatever. I got a little son, it's now whatever. I like drop tops when it's hot. I like lands when it's snowy. Bank account is fat like Joey. I'm not very religious. You wouldn't call me holy. Sometimes my hands go long. Sometimes it's slowly. One pop the movie. L state Flossin. President, you know me. I'm on the story. I said the bars will make you stop it. So it's hitting me when I drink. As I buy drinks. And every time I pass looks like the bottom with you ever seen. She must have hit the lotto. Uptown is my home. And where I roam, I stand alone. Big L polio got it sold. Selling weight in and out of state to generate fake. The one Jake take that out of side running out of double side. I rap extra that means I turn through the net folks. If y'all know this is players, I'm the head coach. It's time to make capital moves and get to cheddar. And my real nice things that makes life better. The food is sex, moves must be clever. I'm down for whatever. I got a flow, son, it's now or never. It's time to make capital moves and get to cheddar. And buy the real nice things that makes life better. The food is sex, moves must be clever. Down for whatever. I got a blow, son, it's now or never. What up, son? It's time to blow. Stack that dough, create a better life for me and my family. Nah, I mean.
Nah, me.
That's how you know that's 90s.
That's right. Nah, me.
East Coast vibe.
Definitely never. That's wow. Nah, me.
Nah, me.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Rest in peace. God, this headset is
It's tight.
All right, we're coming back You're listening to KGPC 96.9 FM Oakland and streaming online at www.kgpc969.org. This is the Anything Can Happen show with Kenya Asa, your man Cat Fitness, and our guest host today, Darren from Financial State of Minds. Today we are plugging into the source
100%.
with Miss Kamilah,
Hey.
life coach extraordinaire.
So, Kamilah, can I ask you, like, what brings your clients to you for the most part, and then can you talk a little bit about what the process is of the work that you do with your clients?
You know, I have always it's so strange you even asking me that, because one thing about me being a coach, I don't wave the banner of, hey, I'm a coach. Mm-hmm. It's just like usually after people have an experience with me, I go, by the way,
if you want to take this a little deeper,
if you want to go a little further,
yes,
this is what I do.
Yes,
because there's something very intimate about a coaching process, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to share your energy with the person that you're walking through that energy, because it's like you're navigating. Let me pull out our ancestor Harriet, right? You're navigating someone through the trenches, right? And they might get to a point where they want to go back, and it's like, yo, no.
Yeah.
Either you're going to take this bullet or you're going to take this freedom. Like, what we doing, right? And so I always have to create this little opening to be clear that they have to already be seeking, the process, the journey. I'm not going to say, hey, you should come and do this journey.
I have what's going to fix you.
Oh, no.
I think that's what a lot of people are being sold on. I can fix you. That doctor mentality.
Right. Yeah.
Versus you're on this journey and I can guide you. Tips that's going to help empower you.
That drives
empowering
me
the person that, on that particular journey.
Me and my cousin were talking about that yesterday. I do not want someone who, number one, really has no idea what they're doing, but they just have good marketing
Yeah.
to try to guide me through something that you don't even experience, or that you have not even experienced, that you haven't achieved.
Yeah.
You know, so and I'm not saying that anybody is perfect. I do a lot of health coaching, and I'm not like the healthiest person on earth. You know, I do the best I can, just like everybody else. You know, except for maybe Cat Fitness over there. You know, fitness and health personified.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that there are a lot of charlatans out there, and a lot of people I know, particularly during the pandemic,
Oh, 100%.
people were so
The floodgates,
desperate,
girl.
right? People were so desperate for connection and meaning and battling depression and stuff like that, that it was so easy for people to come in and just lead you into thinking that they were here to be the savior and to solve all your problems.
Yeah, it's a no for me, dog. I can't do that, because here's the thing about like this, which is why my focus is so much around the ideal of spiritual empowerment. And when we say like plugging into the source, right? Like God is the source for all of the solutions, right? And knowing that God is within you, the resources are the people that you come in contact with. They're a resource.
Yes.
They are, and when I looked up the prefix of means to go within. Like you still got to go into oneself. Like to something, when you look at that prefix, it's like, no, it's to draw you back into, to bring you back to the source. So these if the people that you're in contact with are not bringing you back to your origin, then they're not a good choice for you to be taking in on your life. So when I coach and work with my clients, it's not about me saying, hey, do this, hey, do that. It's really about reminding you who the F you are.
Right. That's
absolutely
correct.
I need you to remember you come from greatness. I need you to remember that the stories and the lies that have been told to you over time is not what defines you. The challenges and the obstacles that you hit are not there to define you, right? You were not created to go through suffering. You were not created to experience traumatic pain. But know that in those moments that it happened to you, it's so that the answer can come through you. And you were strong. I don't believe that anyone is given any burden or any challenge that they could not handle. I just don't believe it. And everyone will say, hey, I didn't want that. It's like, I understand that.
Sure.
I understand. If I could choose it, I wouldn't want it. But when I get hit with something real heavy and I be like, yo, I ain't signed up for this. And then I have to sit back and I go, oh, God, you believe in me more than I believe in myself. Because I would have never chosen this obstacle or this challenge for myself. So I know that if you gave this to me, you also gave me the answer. In the very same breath of when a child comes through the womb of their mother, their resource of what can feed them is right there. That baby didn't have to do nothing but exist. But as soon as that baby come through the portal earthside, what's waiting for him? Breast milk. You know, the resource is there. You know what I'm saying? And so this is how our life is, right? That is the clarity of it. But we have to dig within ourselves and get out of our own way and our own thinking. Whoever taught you could not, whoever taught you that you don't have access to truth, whoever taught you can't have what is good and best for your life, it's a lie. It's not true. The truth is you're supposed to have it. You're supposed to experience joy. You're not here to just be hurt and cry and depressed and live in a space of chaos. You are here to explore the beauty of what this world can be. And if you're in an environment that's not giving you that or not supporting that best part of yourself, you have the choice to choose differently.
Yeah.
And you got to be okay with choosing.
That's a matter of empowerment,
100%.
Because a lot of us come from home environments or here we go, family systems that are not that don't encourage us to do anything other than stay
not to look within ourselves, to look to others, because we don't feel empowered when we ask ourselves and we get the answer within ourselves to actually act on that.
Well, because
because when we ask ourselves
stay where you are,
exactly,
stay in that box that they put you in because that's comfortable for them.
Yeah.
That's very comfortable for them.
But that's been one of the most powerful exercises I think I've done on this journey, is to understand when I ask for something and I have the intuition or the feeling, or I tell myself what I need to do to actually act on it. Right. And then seeing all the blessings that come behind the action that I take.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of times people, all the self-doubt, and it's like, oh, well, I don't know if I should do that, or, well, source is telling you, God is telling you for a reason to do these particular things, whether you know what the outcome is going to be or not. It's like you just have to take that action.
But we can hear the call. We can hear the call.
I was just about to say that. There's people who can't hear the call.
Well, no. I'm thinking everybody can hear the call. The question is, I think everybody can hear the call. The question is, are you going to listen? Are you going to take
That's a better.
that
I agree with that.
in?
That's what I'm saying. I agree with that.
Are you going to trust, right, the source of that call? Are you going to trust yourself and your ability to act on that call? There are people who cannot, because of their history, abuse, and things like that, all that kind of thing, emotional abuse, physical abuse, psychological abuse. All of those things will impede their ability to hear the call that will lead them down the path that they are supposed to go, that God is leading you to go, but you just don't believe in yourself. And then you will think to yourself, well, I believe in God or whatever. Well, he's talking to you. What do you have to do? What does he have to do? Kick you upside the head with his big giant God foot? Okay.
So sometimes we need that though. Like I'll say that I have no problem saying I just got into faith 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I used to be anti-religion. I actually heard a very triggering quote from me that was said that I still don't necessarily fully embrace to this day. And I'll say it. God will never give you what you cannot handle. I think that's complete BS. It's called suicide. It's called suicide. And as someone who has been directly affected by it, I believe this, and you said it. God gives you everything you do need, but that's not enough. You need to know and trust in him that he is trustworthy.
But mental illness is real.
It's real.
Mental illness will stop you from being who you actually are, because that's where suicide comes in.
100%.
Depression that deep is a serious mental illness as a result of a serious mental illness. And if that's not being addressed, and you're not being treated, and you're not being medicated, or whatever needs to happen for you, that's a serious disease that will stop you from being who you really are.
And we have to listen to that part of us that have those needs. I mean, it hurts my heart that this environment has created ways that we can't even know the difference when the conversation is happening. Right. And so the louder voices of the self-doubt and the insecurities and us really questioning our greatness is so much louder, and to where we can't even hear what we came here with, right? And so we're juggling, and then the choices that are made is like, okay, well then I'm not even worth being here, right? And so then people make these types of choices. So this idea of, I understand that there is a very harsh reality that takes place when someone chooses to unalive themselves. Like it's I don't know what that feels like. I can't even fake and say, I thought, no, I just, so I can't even come from an angle that says that I understand what that is or what that looks like. Now on the angle of understanding how people are still unaliving themselves through addiction. But it's
suppressing, emotions and everything else.
So addiction takes the place, though they're still earthside, like they're not living for now. They're not living a life.
What's so interesting that you brought that up, when I was younger, right? I felt so, what's the word I'm looking for? it wasn't a connection with those around me, right? Which I was like, why am I thinking like this? Like, why am I feeling like this? This was like when I was a young teenager, and all these things were like, all these emotions, all these different things were going through me, to the point where I started smoking, I started drinking to suppress all those thoughts. And because I'm like, you know, you think you're weird or something because you're not, you're like, none of these people can understand who I. So I totally get it. And I did it for so long, until the point where I had my health scare, and it just woke me up. It was one of the things I had to go to my lowest of lows before I was able to go now to the highest of my highs.
But look, it was at that moment that you hit a crossroads, because you still could have chosen
to continue to
go down. But in that moment, it was like, okay, I need to shake my creation up so heavy that like, look, I need you to see the light. There was an opportunity where you got a glimpse of the hope, the possibilities, the ability that I know this is not what my life's supposed to look like, right? And so it was in that moment that a real conversation was taking place. You turned the volume up on, look, I got something better for you. I need you to see what this something better looks like. And you chose.
Right.
And took action.
And that's why I say the power of choice is so.
It's powerful.
I would say the power of choice is more important. In some cases, it's more important than anything else, because you can have all the information. Matter of fact, we all know this as coaches. Let's be real, you guys. We all know that as coaches, not everybody, even a lot of times, comes to us for specifically just for the information. Because the information is so readily available. They come to us because ultimately they trust us. And that's a choice. They choose to trust us to guide them and stuff like that. So the power of choice is just so, to me, it's just so important, because I think most people know. Most people, or at least have an idea. They have an idea, but they might not necessarily know the path. They might not know whatever, but most people know good or bad. It's just, how do they go about doing it for them as an individual? And that's why us as coaches are there to support that. This is how you can implement what you may have an idea about. But this recognizing that you have that choice, you have that freedom. Hey, I'm living a life that may be unhealthy, or hey, I'm just not happy with my life. That itself is a choice. First off, pat yourself on the back for reflecting. I think that's the first thing people need to do at the time. Reflect.
Right.
It's self-talk.
It's reflect. Reflect, and then the reflection will lead to the purpose and the why. And then you understand the power of the choice, which is, I'm choosing this negative lifestyle, which might be addiction, which might be unhealthy food, which might be
negative relationships, toxic relationships.
Sure. Because it feels good in the moment.
Exactly. Or maybe because you don't know what the other choice looks like.
You don't know what the other side.
There's a fear. And what I always encourage people is, analyze your choices and your decisions and go, did I do this choice because of fear, or did I do this choice because I wanted to actually choose? And what I feel is that many people, especially our people, are still choosing choices based off of fear of something, whether it's the other choice, the unknown. They may not be used to it. They
lacking confidence.
There's a certain fear, and I feel that a good coach, whatever the lane is, whatever the pillar of health is there to remind you or to show you there's nothing to be afraid of, because you've probably been through something that was more difficult and you overcame it. So if you could do that thing, the worst thing, then you can probably do this.
You've already lived through all the hardest things,
and that's where I feel
your life.
God shows you and empowers you, because if you are able to, because that is the thing, if you're even able to overcome a situation, that is God right there. He allowed you to overcome that. He or she or whoever you choose to be allowed you to overcome that situation. So that's the proof. That's the proof. That's the proof that he's in you. You've already done so many more difficult things. So you can make this health change. You can make this financial change. You can leave this person who doesn't serve you. You can do whatever because you've already made it. You're alive.
Yeah, and it becomes challenging to, like, even in making those choices, because our body is on the front line of the spiritual experience. It's hard for us to make those little tough choices because it's like, if I leave this toxic relationship, I will be alone. I won't have company. You know, I'm afraid that I will never find another partner that will give me what it is that I want. So we'll make this choice to stay someplace because our body's on the front line of experiencing the abandonment, so to speak, right? As opposed to trusting that what's driving this vehicle is saying, yo, this ain't serving neither one of us. We need to get out of this situation and move towards something else. And in connection to even with what you're saying, because you was talking real good. Look, like when I think about just this journey of life, you know, I love movies. I go to movies specifically to look for where the transformation is taking place, right? So when I look at, of course, The Wiz, I'm gonna say The Wiz.
I just saw The Wiz.
The Wiz. Yep. When I think about The Wiz and we think about the journey of Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Lion, the Tin Man, the whole thing, there was a faith that they believed when they got to where they were going to get, that they were going to receive a thing. When in actuality, they always had it. It was already there, right? But how did they discover what they already had in them? They had to live. They had to go through the journey.
Right.
So it's like, you got here, it's like, I don't know how I got here. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know when I'm going to get out of this. But I know, okay, somebody going to be able to give me this. But in actuality, you had already had your healing on your feet. That was because you had to live. So a lot of times we'll be seeking out something for us in our lives. Like, I want to understand self-love. I want to understand patience. I want to understand freedom. I want to understand my authentic voice. It's okay, keep living.
Right. Because the world is full of Eveline. Okay,
Hello.
The world is full of Eveline. The world is full of the scary
and
flying
her agents,
the scary flying monkeys. The world is full of all of that, you know. And so then, but if you can survive all the things that is thrown at you,
and you
get
persevere,
to the other side,
your faith, your belief in something, you ain't never seen this wisdom, you ain't never seen it before, but you know there's something in you. Like everybody that spoke on it, it's like, I know this exists. But really, when you got there, it was not real. That was a lie that you were taking, because the answer was within yourself. And so imagine if we look at how we're living through this life. It's like, look, I want to be patient. And then something happens to us to where we like, oh, no, I can't do this. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You just prayed for patience. I'm going to need you to experience this so you really know what patience is. It's like, okay, I want to understand health. And then you get really sick. Right? It's like, oh, okay, well, okay, now the way you're gonna understand health, you can't it's not something you just pick up off the shopping shelf. You are going to have to go through an experience that's gonna help you know the value of this, the value of love, the value of sisterhood. You're gonna go through it, right? And so a lot of times we're afraid of what it takes for us to go through the experience of being dirty in order to recognize when we clean. Right? And so we got to be like, oh, okay. So be really aware. That I always say, be careful with the words you speak in your prayers, because you might think that means, okay, you know what, God, I want to be a millionaire. Okay. And then you lose everything. You know what I'm saying? Then the business fall apart, and it's like, oh wait, hold it. No, that's not what I was.
Not what I asked for.
Right, that's not what I. Yeah. But it's like, but yes, you did, because now you have to gain the knowledge and the understanding that's necessary for you to maintain it. Because once I could give you the blessing, right? If I give it to you, then you're not even going to know what it takes to maintain it and keep it afloat and make it maintain your life, because I just gave it to you, right? You got to put some skin in the game.
Yes.
And so as a result of that, it's like, okay, I'm about to study these taxes. I'm about to study all of this paperwork. I'm about to study. I'm going to get the resources, get around other people who have done it and have the conversation. I'm going to live the journey towards getting this. And once you get there, baby, it's gonna be another journey waiting for you.
Uh,
Once you get to that one, you're gonna have to
you're
do
gonna have to
another
do
one.
something
Shoot.
Yeah.
But that's so well you said. You have to experience the journey
Yeah.
to even value the destination or the
Period.
thing that you want. And that's something, I mean, you nailed, I mean, whew, that went through me because I feel that way. I feel that way, like, man, like I know, because I'm one thing is I'm a very, from someone who wasn't always confident about themselves, I'm a very confident young man.
Yeah.
But oh man,
Good, that's good.
absolutely, I'd be afraid, like, okay, I know I could walk through this path,
Mm.
but good God, I see this path got dirt, it got bones, it got a little bit of glass on there, it got pit bulls,
it got everything.
God, you don't, I don't even got my full like tools to defend myself.
Yeah.
But I know I can do it. You gave me that confidence. I believe in your confidence, and I know I can go through it. And I even know what the destination is. I know what the prize is. I know what's inside the treasure chest.
Ooh, come on, treasure chest.
But good God, man, I do not want to go through these pitfalls in this class.
See, we're gonna have to do an episode.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
for sure.
Because we just blared through that episode like nobody's business.
Yeah, but that's such a true thing, and I hope everybody. That's the I just call it that's the trade-off.
Yeah.
You have to trade something to even get the reward or to the destination you want to go. You have to give up something, or you have to go through something that is the journey. And that's how, and that to me, that's just the natural balance of order.
Yeah.
It has to be that way. If it's not that way, then it's imbalance, and then that's what you're talking about. Someone can just get. Perfect example. People who win a lottery, what's the statistic? Like,
come on,
75% of them end up broke and bankrupt in the first 5 years because of what you said. They never knew what to do because they never had the journey to learn what to do. Absolutely.
So, like I said, we're this
That's
beautiful
like
conversation.
You know, right?
But I know you have a journaling program that you work with your clients and everything. Do you have any classes or anything coming up that people can find you at? Events, website, the whole nine?
I'm on Instagram under Love Is Always the Subject. That is the name of the company. Love Is Always the Subject. And I do one-on-one coaching sessions. I also have a group coaching session called Accountability Click. We meet every Monday morning at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we check in about our goals. We check in about mindset. We check in about, really sitting with ourselves and discovering our best self. And then I also have a course for consultants, coaches, and service providers on how to create a guided journal to expand their visibility and as a companion product for their services. So that's what I do. But if you find me on Instagram, all of the links in there are in the bio. LoveisAlwaysTheSubject.com, LoveisAlwaysTheSubject.institute. So yeah, but the shortcut to me is through Instagram. That's how you'll find me.
You gotta love Instagram,
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna have you come back for part 2. We're gonna schedule
I would love
that.
to come back.
Yeah, we're gonna schedule that sooner than later.
Yeah.
Get you back in the studio because we're just tapping in, y'all. Man, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Anything Can Happen show with Kenya Asa, your man Cat Fitness, and brother Darren from Financial State of Minds. Make sure you tune in every Thursday live on ach.show on Instagram. You can check us out at 96.9 FM Oakland, streaming online at www.kgpc.org as well, y'all. We're going to see you next week. Peace.
Get it. That's good, y'all.
Thank you, IG fam. Thank you so much for joining us today. Talk to you guys next time.